Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to ScrivTalk. I'm Leanna George, co-owner of Scrivenings Press, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. On this channel, we love giving you behind the scenes look at our Scrivening Press authors, their stories, their inspiration, and their writing journeys. Today, I'm chatting with Shannon Sue Dunlap, author of the Sweetheart Texas series, a heartwarming collection filled with humor, hope, and small town charm. Her newest book, Vintage Sweetheart, which releases today, brings readers another delightful story that proves sometimes the best endings are timeless. Shannon, welcome to Script Talk. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much, Leanna. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So, you're known for your humor, heart, and love of happy endings, Shannon. How did your journey as a writer begin, and what draws you to writing the wonderful, faith-filled romantic stories you write?
I did not plan to be a writer. I know some people say, oh, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be one. And it did not even occur to me. I
Huh?
loved books when I was growing up. So it didn't even occur to me that I could write them. They were the coolest things,
Yeah.
But thankfully, God just led me on that journey. I had spent 4 years getting a degree studying music.
Hmm.
And once I got to the end of that, I realized, you know what? I don't think I want to do this my whole life. What should I do? And ended up realizing I would like to be a writer. And it's taken many years to make that happen. I have also used the music degree as a music teacher,
Yeah.
and but it's still been very fulfilling and very blessed.
That's great. Yeah, it does take a long time. I mean, I'm the same way. I did not, well, I mean, I always wanted to write since I was a little girl, but then I was like, nah, I'm not really cut out for that. And then when I was realized, yes, that was what I was called to do, I spent a lot of time learning, just like you did, how to write a story and how to make a book work and all that kind of stuff. So, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. I'm sure you can agree.
No, and I am still learning. I am
Yes.
not there yet.
Oh, aren't we all, right? That's the one thing I think most authors forget is once they write a book, they're like, I don't need to learn anymore. I've already written a book. But that's not
Yeah.
always true. And I've noticed, and I don't know about you, because I know you've done some indie publishing and then you have some books with another publisher, and then you have this third book here with Scrivenings Press. And I'm sure you can agree that your writing gets better with every book.
I hope so. It feels like it's getting better and it's encouraging. I'm like, wow, in 20 years, I may actually be good. Yay.
Well, that is not what I hear from your fans. So yeah, I think you're
Thank you.
doing a great job. So let's talk a little bit and let's catch up our audience who may not be familiar with your series, Sweetheart, Texas. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the town, whether it's based on a true place or not, and what makes it such a special setting for your stories?
Well, Sweetheart is a fictional Texas town. There are lots of Texas towns with
Mhm.
interesting names like Bacon and Ding Dong, but I made up Sweetheart, and
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. Ding dong, really?
I believe so.
That's hilarious. I've lived in Texas all my life, except for the 5 years I lived overseas. I've never even knew that Bacon and Ding Dong were cities in Texas. So thank
Well, I think I had to look them up, but yes.
you.
And Sweetheart, I like to think that all the people in it, their hearts are as sweet as the town's name. They just really, it's got that not only small town but small family feel where people care about each other,
Mhm.
and it's kind of a Mayberry almost feel, where there's the planters along the sides of the main street with the flowers growing out and the flags flying outside
Yeah.
the businesses and the old buildings. And to be honest, I don't have much experience with small towns. I grew up in a fairly large area in Norfolk, Virginia,
Oh,
which
okay.
is an town. And now I live in Houston, so I really don't have a small town experience.
Yeah, we probably live like, well, we both say we're from Houston, but it would take us probably an hour and a half to get to each other. So
Mhm. Yes.
it's not
You
even.
can drive for an hour and still be in Houston.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, yeah, I thought you were going to say that the people are sweet as the sweet tea that they drink, because it's
Well,
all
some
about
of them do drink sweet tea, yes.
our. So, what inspired you to return to Sweetheart for this third book? I mean, obviously it's a series title, so that kind of gives it away. But um, what are you trying to? Are you trying to wrap up the series with this third book, or will there be more?
I do feel like this kind of puts a bow on it
Mm,
to go along
yeah.
with the Christmas theme, but it really does kind of bring back some of the people from the past books
Mhm.
and just has a very thread of home throughout the story that makes it feel like it's celebrating Sweetheart and the home that it is. And I've been meaning to write Deanna's story for a while now. In book one, she was a sizable side character. And so when I started writing book two, I even had somebody, I think, ask, is it Deanna's story? I'm like, no, she has to wait. So
Yeah.
poor Deanna has had to wait long enough for her happy ending. And it's kind of bringing it full circle now with her in book through three.
Okay, well, let's rewind and backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about the first two books,
Mhm.
Substitute Sweetheart and Lone Star Sweetheart. Tell our viewers a little bit about each of those books so we kind of know, and maybe what a little bit the role that Deanna played in those books, so we can kind of,
Sure.
yeah.
What some people don't know, unless they've just been following me for a really long time, is that the first Sweetheart book was not in the Sweetheart series. I attempted to write a Christian romantic suspense novel. I
Okay.
wasn't familiar with that genre, but I gave it a try and I set it in Sweetheart, Texas. And some of the characters, like the bossy mayor's wife, Lynette Johnson, were
Mhm.
in that book. It was called Decoy Valentine.
Oh,
And the idea for book one in the Sweetheart series came from Lynette. It just occurred to me one day. I don't even know what dropped in my head. And I was like, what would happen if Lynette got mad at her husband and decided to run against him for mayor?
yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I've got to write that story. And that was book one. Lynette was running against her husband, and she got the town's local crusading big mouth Catherine to be her campaign manager.
Uh-huh.
And the husband, not to be outdone, imported his handsome big city New York campaign manager to come in. But since it's a husband and wife running against each other and they share the same resources, the campaign managers had to share the same office and run
Oh,
dueling campaigns in a small space.
yeah.
And Deanna was the best friend of the heroine in that book. So
Okay.
she was kind of the one going, girl, what are you doing? You need to do this or you need to do that, or I can't believe you kissed him, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have Substitute Sweetheart.
Yes, Substitute Sweetheart was the sister of the guy in the first book, comes to town for his wedding. And she ends up being wrangled into being the fill-in principal at the local school by her pushy sister-in-law, who was the heroine in the first book.
Right.
And I don't know if I think Deanna just may have made like a guest appearance in that book, but she was hardly in it at all. It more centered around the school and everything that was going on in there. But in book three, Deanna comes back strong, and so does Lynette. And
Oh.
she's just one of my favorite characters in Sweetheart for some reason. She's the bossy, but with a heart of gold kind of thing. And
Mhm.
what was ironic was I think it was after I wrote book one
Uh-huh.
that I was reading it and I realized, this sounds a lot like my Aunt Karen. And I don't know if I can't remember now because it was so long ago that I wrote that indie book, Decoy Valentine. I don't know if I drew any inspiration from Aunt Karen or not.
Uh-huh.
But the funny part was when Aunt Karen read book one, Lone Star Sweetheart, she was like, Jim, which is my dad, Jim, this sounds just like me. So even she recognized herself.
Isn't it funny? It's so funny. All the people who recognize himself as a character, we're like, no, that wasn't you. And then the ones that we do, they're usually like, you did not, that's not me. But so
Hmm.
good that she was able to see herself. That's really good. So that's fun.
Yes, I love Lynette. And she plays quite a big role in this final book, which is fitting since she's been around through so many of the stories.
Right, right. Well, let's go back in Deanna. Let's talk about Deanna. She's just such a fun-loving vintage, um, loving heroine.
Hmm.
How did her character and her style, which is obviously vintage, come to life for you?
Well, I didn't have to search too far for the vintage part. As you can see, all I had to do was look in my own closet. I love vintage clothes, vintage dresses, the poofy skirts with the skirts with the crinolines underneath.
Ah,
And I love old music, listening to records and Frank Sinatra. I've got my old
mm,
record player.
yeah.
But her personality is definitely different from mine. She's very extroverted. She loves to put herself out there and just put her heart on the line. She's
Mhm.
been dating anybody that she wants to give a try, and she's been standing on the community theater stage and just loves being in the spotlight. And yet she still has never managed to find uh, that not only the man that she feels like is the right fit, but also the calling, so to speak, that is the right fit, what she should do. And it's kind of a journey of self discovery for her through this book.
Okay, that's good. That sounds very intriguing. What else sounds intriguing is the fact that you have one of readers' favorite tropes, which is a fake engagement,
Hmm.
but with genuine spiritual death. How did you balance the humor and the romance with the deeper themes of forgiveness and faith?
I don't like to be preachy in
Mm.
my novels, and
Okay.
I definitely didn't intend to be preachy, but it really was the way the story came about. And um, it just kind of happened that way. I remember it was a few years ago and it was Christmas time, and I was driving in my car and the Christmas music was playing and this song came on by I think it's Andrew West. Come home, come home, come home, come home for Christmas. And it's the words are asking, how long has it been since you felt that feeling of wonder like a child wide awake on Christmas Eve? And the ideas just started stirring in my brain about the hero in the book Evan. And what if there's somebody who has wanted to come home for the longest time and hasn't had the courage to do it? And it just evolved into this whole prodigal son story. And that prodigal son story, when you read it, really is maybe one of the most beautiful in the Bible.
Mhm.
How the father is just waiting for him and, rushes out to meet him before he even gets to the door.
Yeah,
And I definitely tried to mirror that in some of the scenes that happen in the book, but in a modern day sense, of course.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I just can't help putting the humor in there as well. It's just part of my style. And it's part of Sweetheart's style as well, because there's so many characters who live in that town. I
Mhm.
mean, a town with a beauty pageant for cows, I mean, they obviously don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
And so you have all the people that are ready to lovingly poke their nose in your business and just cause all sorts of hilarious
Yeah.
situations.
Small towns can be like that, I think. Yeah. So, does the humor come naturally? Like, do people like, you are so funny, Shannon? Just,
They probably wouldn't think that meeting me in person. Maybe the friends who've known me a long time might think I'm funny, but I'm not the class clown type. I'm actually pretty serious. And when I write, though, it comes out differently. I remember the first time I kind of realized I was a funny writer. It was my college class in my first year studying writing. I was getting a journalism degree, and they had us come up and read our stories for the class, and we had to read them out loud. And I started reading my story, and people started laughing. And it kind of surprised me because I hadn't actually planned, I'm going to write a funny story. It
right.
just came out that way. So it is kind of natural when I start typing it out that the funny is just there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I always tell people I'm funny and they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I, I guess I'm not. I'm like, well, I do think I'm funny.
Yeah.
Make myself laugh a lot. So, but that's really cool that you can just um, naturally have that wittiness and that humor that you don't intend. But when you write, it's kind of like maybe like an alter ego, right? That
Hmm.
something
Yeah.
just comes out and you don't.
Yes, I'm very Clark Kent at work, and
Yes,
then very funny Superman when I write.
yeah, you're Tina Fey at
Superwoman.
Tina Fey at in the evenings when you're writing your book, and Clark Kent at work. So yeah, okay.
Now I heard a ding. Was that my computer? I apologize if it was.
No, well, don't worry about it. Nothing worse than my phone going off. I forgot to put my, and of course, yeah,
I need to cough.
it's got to happen all the time. So, well, sweetheart is such a major part. I mean, settings, I think people just think, oh, well, you just put it in a place, right? You just
Mhm.
pick a place to put your book. And so that's the setting, right? But they don't understand the depth that the place um, can be for a writer, right? And Sweetheart feels like its own character in every book.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
how do you capture that sense of community and small town warmth so vividly?
Partly, I traveled to somewhere near Houston here, which you will recognize. I went to Conroe.
Okay.
And I walked down their main street, and they have the big flower planters with the Texas star on it. And I think they had music playing through the speakers when you walk around. And it really did have that warm Americana kind of feel there. I remember I was eating in a place at breakfast time, and I accidentally knocked my phone off the table. Three people rushed to pick it up for me. And it was
Oh,
like, oh my word, thank you.
yeah.
The kindness that was there.
Yeah.
And in this book, there is an old theater that plays a big part, and they have an old theater like that in Conroe again. So I went and I was taking pictures and looking at the beautiful uh, stone facade and the date that they have up there showing how it's been there for so long, so many decades.
Mhm.
And as far as the physical appearance, I think I got a lot of that from Conroe.
Okay.
Now, as far as the feeling of warmth, even though I grew up in a bigger city,
Mhm.
I grew up in a very close church. And I think that that feeling of community I got from that really lent itself to the story. I even dedicated this book to my church family. And I was thinking of the ones I grew up with because when I was young, I was in that church for like 19 years, I think
Mhm.
it was.
Wow.
And as I mentioned before, it was a Navy town. So a lot of the people in our church weren't from there. They had been moved in with the military. And
Mhm.
when it came to holidays and different things, their families might be far away.
Mhm.
And so we celebrated together. I remember on Thanksgivings, we would not all stay home. We would go to the church. Everybody would bring some sort of dish, and we would all have Thanksgiving together for
Oh,
part of the day.
yeah.
And that kind of feeling and memories I had from those years really probably helped as I was creating this place that
Yeah.
was the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. And your personal experience really, they say write what you know. And when you
Hmm.
write what you know, then you really uh, are able to capture it and make it come alive for people who are reading. And
Hmm.
that you really makes a difference. So I love that you used your church from back home to help you bring it to life. That's really cool. That's special. Let me get my words together here.
All right, I'll take the opportunity to cough again.
It's after 5 o'clock, so my brain's starting to go on the downhill slope. But were there any particular scenes or moments that stood out as fun or challenging to write in Vintage Sweetheart as compared to the others?
Hmm. Challenging, I don't know. I don't feel like I struggled all that much with this story.
Mhm.
It was fun to write the times when Deanna is taking full advantage of their fake relationship because she's been in love with Evan since she was a child. And so she's going to make the most of it, you know. And if everybody's looking at him and they need to convince them that, yes, they are engaged, then she'll just take that opportunity to grab a little smooch while she can. And it was very fun to write a character that was that shameless and
Yeah.
knew she was being that shameless, but still did it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. You don't normally get one like that,
Mhm.
normally, but that's neat how you were able to incorporate that in there so naturally. So that's good. But no challenges, no because for me, challenges actually it's the romance. I struggle with romance,
Mhm.
and so I was like, I guess because I've been married for so long, and I don't remember what it was like to be 18 and dating again.
Mhm.
Writing the kissing or the sweet romantic sweet spots, I just, didn't come roll as naturally for me. So romance is natural for you too?
I don't know about the romance being as natural. That might have been more of a challenge.
Mhm.
But Sweetheart is so familiar to me after four books, the
Mhm.
prequel and these three,
Okay.
or I guess three books. This is the fourth. I really know these characters and I know how they feel.
Yeah.
And that helped me. Um, Now, as far as doing the research and making sure I had things accurate. That might have been more challenging, especially in the area of Evan trying to turn his family ranch into a boys' ranch to help troubled youth. And I was trying to get my research correct there and talk to somebody who had been one and knew what it was like. And I got some of the details from him, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's neat. They did that.
Yeah.
And, for example, Evan talks in it about how he doesn't want work to be a punishment for the kids, that they will see it as a privilege to get to work at the ranch. And the man I was talking to was telling me at this ranch, when new boys would arrive, they wouldn't say, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. One kid might show up and say, I'm not doing nothing. You can't make me do it, and they're
Mhm.
like, fine, you have to earn the privilege to work. And after a few days, they'd be so bored just sitting around, they'd be like, please let me work,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
That though.
uh, researching that, I wanted to get it right. I wanted to get it accurate and correct.
Hmm. Yeah. Because if we don't, our readers will let us know for sure.
Yep, they'll call us on it.
Yeah. So this wraps up the Sweetheart series, Vintage Sweetheart does. What do you hope readers feel when they turn the last page?
As I said before, there's a very strong thread of home running throughout the story.
Hmm.
And I mentioned the prequel, Decoy Valentine, that I'd written a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
It was even under a different name. I had a pen name then, Shannon Kent.
Oh.
And there
Oh,
was a character in, yes, we were talking about Clark Kent and
or Clark
Superman,
Kent. That's what I thought. I was like, she must really like Superman.
I do actually. For all the 90s fans, the Lois and Clark, you remember
Yeah.
that show from
Uh-huh.
back in the day? I
Yep.
like it. Um, there was a side character in that first book who was actually an antagonist and brought quite a bit of pain to the heroine
Mhm.
in that story. And she's been around as a side character throughout these books. And in this last book, we see her softening,
Mm.
and we start to see her story behind it, sort of thing. And began understanding her better throughout the series, I hope.
Uh-huh.
And when she finally, at the end, walks into the church, that really got to me when
Yeah.
I wrote it. And I think I may have gotten a little teary, like, oh my
Aw.
word, even she has this coming home story
Yeah.
in this final book. And
Aw.
she's come so far. And I would love it if readers, when they read this, could sense that message of, doesn't matter how far you are, it's never too late to come home.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. You know, I, even while you're explaining it, I could see this woman walking into the church, and so that's a beautiful imagery, and I hope that your readers will read and get that feeling as well. So
Do
this
you know what
is,
I'm worried about, Lehanna? I'm so sorry, but I see my computer dimming and I'm afraid it's going to shut off. I need to plug it in really
oh
quick.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, real time problem.
That's right. This is real time stuff, folks. We don't edit it and make it all perfect. We keep it real because life is real and authentic.
I'm almost there. Maybe you can play the Jeopardy theme song while I do this. Do, 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 do. Is that copyrighted? Sorry, Jeopardy.
I don't know. We might get in trouble. No, it'll be fine.
There we
YouTube
go.
will let us know. YouTube will let us know. Okay, so this brings Vintage Sweetheart brings the series to a close. How do you feel knowing that this is going to be maybe the last time you visit these characters, this town, these stories?
Do you know? I don't think I had ever really processed that until you just said it.
Ah,
Wow, that's kind of sad. I think I'll have to maybe still visit it, even if the readers don't get to.
yeah.
It will live on. Maybe as I'm visiting Conroe one day, I'll be walking down being like, oh, Lynette would like that jacket with the rhinestones on it. Yeah, just kind of imagining what's happening there.
Yeah.
But again, even if I don't visit it again, I feel like I've left all of my characters in a good place,
Mm,
that
good.
they have their families, they have their happy endings, and they're good.
That's all you can ask for. That's all you can
Mm.
ask for as an author. So this is an end, and usually endings mark the beginning of something else. So do you have anything else in the pipeline? Um, You know,
I have started, how many stories have I started lately? At least two. And
uh-huh.
then I had an idea for another one recently. And I'm like, oh, I like that idea too.
Yeah,
And that's the problem. You have all these ideas you like, and you're like, okay, I need to work
right,
on
right.
something, so that's something I really need to pray about. God, which story do you want me to do? And which one should I work on? I do have a notebook where I write down stories, and who knows, some of these stories I may not be good enough to write yet.
Mm,
God may be giving me the idea now so it can cook in my brain for 10 years or so.
yeah.
And then once I'm good enough, I can write that story.
I
But
I totally agree with what you just said. And I think a lot of people think just because we have an idea, we have to pursue it really quickly. But I love
mhm,
that because I felt the same way. There was a story and that I've been wanting to write for years. But it was pretty heavy. It was based on a kind of a, I don't want to say mass murder, but it was related. And
mhm,
it was kind of heavy and thick. And I just thought, even though I thought that would be my first book, I knew I was not at a place in my writing to be able to write a story like that.
mhm,
And so it's still with me. I still think about it from time to time. Um,
right.
yeah, I love that you said that because there are just some stories that aren't quite ready for us to go there yet.
Mhm,
Either us, I think, in an emotional, spiritual place or in our writing craft itself. Mm.
right.
But I'm with you. I get stories and I'm just like, which one do I go? Here, here, here. And yeah, I'm like, Lord, I hope you let me live to be like 125 because I've got so
Yeah.
many stories I still want to tell.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That's the awesome thing about being a writer. As long as the Lord gives us with our mental capabilities, we can keep writing
Yeah,
on into,
that's,
our elderly years and just keep going and be even better than ever.
that's right. That's absolutely right. So there is still plenty of time. It is never too late to start writing your story. So.
There you go.
Yeah. So before let our readers and audience members know where to connect with you, real quick, tell us a little bit about Decoy Valentine because that's an indie published book, but it's a
Mhm.
prequel. So talk a little bit about that and how people can find it.
Decoy Valentine is on Amazon. It's by Shannon Kent, and it is a Christian romantic suspense, but with that still some threads of humor in it. As always, I just have to stick the humor in. It seems like a part of it.
Yeah.
Like I can't help myself. And it is about characters that I actually mention in Vintage Sweetheart when they're looking at some pictures and they're like, oh, there's Susanna and Daniel and their kids. Well, Susanna and Daniel were the romance in that first book. And they jokingly referred to him as the prodigal son in that book, but it wasn't that he had left in a huff or anything, but he was traveling the world and he came back, and his best friend, Susanna, is getting heart-shaped notes with mean messages on them, and she has a stalker following her. And again, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, Sweetheart has come full circle, because that first book was a fake relationship too.
Oh,
They
yeah.
fake engaged, but they were fake dating to, keep him close to her and trying to protect her while some unknown person is leaving her heart-shaped notes everywhere. And so there's romance, there's suspense, there's humor, and it was part of what made me fall in love with Sweetheart. And as I got to know Sweetheart more, and Lone Star Sweetheart and Substitute Sweetheart and now Vintage Sweetheart, I love that place. You wish you could visit it in real
Right.
life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure the readers are going to love it as well. So I hope they will all visit your website, which I'm going to let you share a little bit about here in a minute, which I'm sure you have all your books listed, but also check her out on Amazon as well, where you can find all of her books. So tell us a little bit more about how to connect online with you.
You can go to shannonsuedunlap.com, and I have information about books on there, and I've got a newsletter you can sign up for. And if you sign up for my newsletter, there's also a free novella I give away for a clean romance I wrote.
Hmm.
And I'll just keep you updated on what's going on. And when I finally decide on that story that I want to be the next one, then hopefully I'll let you know.
Yeah, they'll be the first to know. All right.
Hmm.
And social media, I'm assuming too.
Yes, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and you can find all those links at my website.
All right, wonderful. Well, you have done a great job answering all my questions. And so, I'm going to give you just a few more, but they're not near as difficult to answer.
Okay, lay 'em on
They
me.
are just two choices, what I call the lightning round. And
Hmm.
you just don't even give it a lot of thought, just answer away, okay?
Okay,
All right. Coffee or sweet tea?
sweet tea,
Every day, right? Right. Writing to music or total silence?
total silence. I love music and I'm afraid it might distract me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't play music.
Yeah, you can't. I can listen to instrumental, but I cannot do music
Hmm.
lyrics.
Substitute Sweetheart was an exception. I was writing about people who played the cello and the violin, and I got a cello violin duet, and I was listening to, I think it was Canon in D as I was writing about that.
Uh-huh.
But yes, instrumental, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so your book is set in Christmas setting. So Christmas
Hmm.
lights, white or multicolored?
Ooh. Normally white, but then sometimes I just get the feeling of wanting to go back like to the 80s or something, and then I'll pull out the multicolored too.
Uh-huh. All right. Okay, vintage movies or modern rom-coms?
Vintage movies all the way.
All the way, huh? All right. Snowy winter night or sunny Texas afternoon?
Snowy winter night. We
Uh,
got snow last year. I was just talking about that with some of my students today. I'm like, wasn't it cool when we got snow? Maybe we'll get it again.
yes. Let's hope, right? Let's hope.
Mhm.
All right. Dina's Soda Fountain or Evans Ranch?
Soda fountain?
Okay.
I'm not much of an outdoorsy girl, so yeah, give me the vintage stuff surrounding me and a nice Dr. Pepper to drink, and I'm a happy girl.
Okay, yeah. Exactly, exactly. All right. Plotter or pantser?
Pantser, very
Yeah.
much so.
All right. So I think I already know the answer to this last one, but actually I'm going to get two more. So, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Music from the 40s or the 80s?
40s,
Okay.
definitely.
I was like, I know the answer to that one, but you never know. 80s music was so good. You just never know. All right, last one. Faith-filled moment or laugh out loud scene?
Oh, oh my word. How do I pick one of those? In some of my past books, I feel like laugh out loud scene is definitely the one that there was more of.
Yeah.
But this last book really probably had the deepest faith-filled moments I've ever written.
Mm,
And they went deep with me.
yeah.
It felt true, it felt real. And so I really liked that.
Mm, that's good. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for playing along with me there. And I just, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a peek behind the scenes of Vintage Sweetheart. Folks, if you love small town romance with heart, humor, and a strong message of hope, you'll want to add this one to your Christmas reading list. You can find Vintage Sweetheart and the entire Sweetheart Texas series on Amazon, Books, Barnes and Noble, and other online bookstores. To learn more about Shannon, you can find her at shannonsuedunlap.com. So don't forget to subscribe to ScrivTalk for more author interviews and behind the scenes book chats from Scrivenings Press. We've enjoyed this time with Shannon. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you again on another ScrivTalk.
Thank you, Anna. Bye, everyone.
Bye.